Hello, I'm Keisha Lovelace, the Sheriff's Office Legal Advisor. This month, all deputies must complete the 2022 Legal Update as part of in-service training. This year's training includes updates on just about every topic you covered in the BLET Arrest, Search, and Seizure block of instruction. Topics such as hot pursuit, exigent circumstances, search and seizure, reasonable suspicion, use of force, and juvenile Miranda warnings. There are also some important statutory changes covered. Some of these new cases could fundamentally change how you approach your work. So each new case discussion begins with a review of the concepts surrounding each of these topic areas. It's a good refresher of what you learned in basic law enforcement training. Then after discussion of the case, the materials provides takeaways, a discussion of how the case impacts the law in your work, and suggestions for what you should do to ensure the arrest or the evidence seized passes constitutional scrutiny. I encourage you to pay attention to the following topics. Hot pursuit is the first topic. If you're in hot pursuit of a person suspected of a misdemeanor, can you enter the curtilage of a home to make an arrest? In this case, can you enter the garage? The court said no. If it's a misdemeanor, including a DWI, you cannot enter the curtilage of a home such as a garage unless you have exigent circumstances. This first part of the material not only discusses the case, but gives a good review of exigent circumstances and how this case will impact your work. Next, the material covers the community caretaking doctrine exception to the Fourth Amendment. For those of you who recently finished BLET, you will not recall learning about the community caretaking doctrine. That's because it was not in your academy materials. So take some time to learn about this doctrine. The legal update also discusses two cases regarding what constitutes a seizure, or what is a seizure. If you will recall from BLET, a seizure occurs when a person submits to the show of authority. In the case discussed, a fleeing suspect was shot twice in the back but was able to elude arrest. She later sued civilly for a violation of her civil rights for an unreasonable seizure. The court held that the show of authority, essentially shooting her twice, although unsuccessful to have her stop, was still a seizure because the officers objectively intended the use of force to restrain the individual. This is a significant change in the law. Read over this material carefully and pay attention to the takeaways. The odor of marijuana. We all have noticed stores selling hemp products, CBD products, etc. And the question has been asked repeatedly about whether the odor of marijuana is still enough for reasonable suspicion. This legal update discusses two North Carolina cases on the topic. Do these cases definitively answer the question? No, it doesn't, but it does provide some good guidance and some good tips on what you should do to, in cases where you have the odor of marijuana, what else should you do to make sure that any evidence you seize and any review of that stop will survive constitutional scrutiny. School resource officers. There's a case on juvenile Miranda rights that should be of interest to you. In the case discussed, the juvenile Miranda rights were violated when the principal questioned the student in the SRO's presence. This is a case you should review. There were several statutes discussed, such as electronic search warrants. I've been asked questions recently about electronic search warrants, and the materials discusses this new area of North Carolina criminal procedure. And near the end of the legal update is one of the more significant cases in the materials. An officer was sued civilly for not intervening when another officer used excessive force. The premise of the case is that officers have a duty to intervene, and the failure to do so can result in a civil lawsuit for the constitutional violation of a person's civil rights. A few years ago, the Sheriff's Office amended its policies to include the duty to intervene. This case now makes it a constitutional obligation for deputies. Not only should you review these cases, please review our general orders to refresh your memories on your responsibilities. As a lawyer, I found this legal update to be very interesting. Reading about the law may not be as interesting to some of you, but this particular legal update is full of information that I believe is very relevant to what you do each day. Please read the material carefully and feel free to reach out to me with any questions.